Namaste, Namaste, viewers from all over the world. Welcome to this fifth edition of a Global Festival of Oneness, celebrated on account of the Janmadin of Bhagavatpada Adi Shankara. As usual, today we have got a brilliant speaker, Vidwan. I take the dosham of Virupti. Brilliant speaker and Vidwan. Yes, he is brilliant as well as Vidwan. GiridharaSarma. He is going to speak on Sadhana in Bhagavatpada Adi Shankaracharya's Sutra Bhashyam. I welcome him. I will start the session by chanting few mantras. Sadashiva Samarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Vasudeva Sutan Devam Kausachanura Mardanam, Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Mukhaṁ karoti vachalam pangum lambhayate girim, Yatkrupartamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Sahanavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu Mavidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. King Jyotistava Bhanumana Anime Ratro Pradipadikam Syadevam Ravidipa Darshana Vidhau King Jyotirakhyahime Chakshustasya Nimilanadi Samaye Kindhir Diyo Darshane Kintatrahamato Bhavan Paramakim Jyotisadasmi Prabho Prihi Om Tatsat. I will briefly introduce today's brilliant speaker as I already told. He is born in a pious Tamil family. Vidwan GiridharaSarma is an electronic engineer by education and profession with over 30 years of experience in that field. In parallel, he was blessed by the great scholar Sri Gauda Venkateshwara Shastrigal, who took GiridharaSarma under his tutelage. He studied the basics of Tarka and has specialized in Mimamsa and Vedanta, including Prasthantari Bhashya and other important texts, both in Mimamsa Shastras. From 2018, GiridharaSarma has been continuing his learnings of Mimamsa under Dr. K.E. Devanatacharya and Vedanta under Mahamohopadhyay, Brahmashri, Dr. Mani Shastriji, and Vyakaranam under Sri Dattatreya Murtiji. He regularly takes part in Vidvat Sadas and workshops, and also conducts private classes in Mimamsa and Vedanta for few students. Over to you, GiridharaSarma.
Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Shrutismriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram. Today we are going to talk about sadhana aspect in Brahmasutra. So when we talk about sadhana, why we chose particularly Brahmasutra is that if you really want to know a lot about sadhana, that is the context of Advaita Vedanta, Acharya Bhagavatpada has written several short works, several Prakarana Granthas that has a very detailed manual of sadhana. That is what one should do, how one should conduct, how we qualify ourselves to reach the ultimate truth. And even the most popular Sadhana Panchakam, starting with that, there are several works. And the bigger books like Viveka Chudamani, Upadesha Sahasri, they deal with a very minute aspect of sadhana. But all these things are not collated by one or a bunch of individuals. What we see in those works or what Acharya has presented in those works is culled out from the Upanishad. Again, when we talk about Upanishad, each Upanishad talk about certain aspect of. So where is the Shastra basis for Advaita Vedanta Sadhana? So what is needed, what is not needed? That is where the Brahmasutram comes in. In Brahmasutra Bhashyam, actually in Sutra itself, Bhagavan Badarayana has allocated one chapter for sadhana, the third chapter, Sadhana Adhyaya. That completely deals with what is needed. But if you actually go and read that for a newcomer, when you take the third chapter and then see what is given in it, it's not like, okay, every day you get up in the morning like this and do this, do this. It is not the way we perceive what is sadhana. What in normal parlance, what we consider sadhana as a set of instructions, a bunch of do's and don'ts, and also some remedial measures like if you are not able to do this, then do this. And if you make a mistake, and what do we do this? So this is what we consider as sadhana. So when you talk about yoga sadhana, you start about yamaha, niyamaha, pranayama, asana, pranayama. You have a sequence like that. Does Brahmasutram talk like that? No. It starts with transmigration of soul. So how is that related to what I am supposed to do? And the justification or the explanation that is given is, once you understand what happens to this jiva, because we still consider ourselves as an individual jiva, apart from Paramatma, what happens to this jiva when attached to a body, after the death of the body or after the decay of the body, what is happening to this jiva? And as we understand that progress, the process, we are supposed to get vairagya. We will get vairagya. So you will be detached from this body and you would want to take a path, take a sadhana, which takes you away from this cycle of birth and death. And slowly that is how it is developed. It starts from the very fundamental principle. And how this is explained is the very beginning, first sutra, Adhato Brahma Jigyasa. Atha, then, Ataha, therefore, Brahma Jigyasa Kartavya. Vedanta Vichara has to be taken up. When you say Atha, then you start with thereafter. Thereafter, after what? So that is where the Bhashyakara explains, based on the Upanishad passage, there are certain basic qualifications needed to do Vedanta Vichara. They are sadhana chatushtayam. There's a set of four sadhanas. One is vivekam, the other one is vairagya. Then a bunch of six set of qualities like shama, damaha, uparati, titiksha, shraddha, and samadhanam. And finally, mumukshutva. I'll briefly touch each of this. Viveka is discrimination that comes out of the analysis of what is real, what is not real, where do I stand, and such things. That is the discrimination. It is called as nitya vastu vivekaha, atava satya asatya. What is satyam, what is eternal, what is not, what is true, what is false. And as long as we are clinging ourselves to something false, we always suffer. So that is how the discussion goes. Then second one is vairagya. There's a detachment. Detachment born out of discrimination, not detachment born out of frustration. Then you have the set of controlling of senses, etc. Shamaha, damaha, controlling mind. And uparati, leaving out karma. Titiksha, patience or sahanam. Shraddha, astikya buddhi. And samadhanam. These are the six aspects, six facets of sadhana. Then finally, actually this should be the first one, mumukshutvam, the urge, the willingness or the desperation to realize. That is moksha ichcha. So without this, one cannot pursue the path of self-realization. This is the starting point. So this is basic, and it's a kind of well known, and I'm not going to touch on that today. But where is this explained is in the 3rd chapter, and it starts the way I told you. What happens is you discuss a lot of things in the chapter 3, and the 4th chapter is the Phaladhyaya. That is where you start talking about the result. When we talk sadhana, let us step back a bit and look into a general idea about what is a sadhana. Sadhana is a method, or I would say means, or a process by which we achieve the goal. So when you talk about sadhana, we should sadhana for a specific goal. So now what is the goal here? Goal here is the goal determines the sadhana. That is the end determines the means. I'm not saying justifies, it determines the what are the means. Here goal is realization. So when you say realization, it is a it is not attaining anything, it is not going somewhere, it is not accomplishing anything. It's not, if you look at the words I have used carefully, it is not a actionable thing. When you say realize, you left something somewhere and then finally you remember or you realize, oh, I left it in the car, I have to go and get it. So realization is purely a mental process. It is not a physical process. And for that realization, what kind of means it could be? So if it is something physical, let's say, if my goal is to reach Vaikuntha or Kailasa, then you should know where it is and who is going to take me over there and how do I please them? How do I convince them I'm worthy of going there and residing there? So that should be the sadhana. If I have to go somewhere or if I have to do something, say I want to be a doctor, then what is it I should do? How do I convince people that I am a good doctor? So you talk about accomplishment, then your means take that kind of approach. Here it is realization. So it has to be a mental process by which you realize. So your sadhana has to be mental. Correct? It's most of a thought process. But that is not what we see. When someone says sadhak, there is a lot of mix up here. Generally, when someone calls themselves sadhak, or we think someone is a sadhaka, how do we perceive them? There are set of rules and regulations, do's and don'ts, the way they dress. I'm putting in 3rd person they. Okay, so just to observe the way they dress, the way they speak, and specific lifestyle is going to be different from the normal people, and that's how they also want to project themselves. So this comes from mostly the karma background or the upasana background. I would say even one go further and say this is more to do with a kind of a cult behavior where you wear certain type of dress and put certain malas. So those kind of things are there. And that is what we commonly recognize as a sadhaka. The person, oh, he's a sadhaka. That is what that particular goal. But here in Advaita Vedanta, what can be the goal, which is what I explained. And it's a realization for which the sadhana has to be mostly to do with the mind. So when you talk about the sadhana, there is a fear or there is a misconception that it's a tough sadhana and I will not be able to do it. It is not for me. Of course, it is tough. Shurasya dhara nishita duratya durgam patastat kavayo vadanti. You see in Kathopanishad. It's not an easy path because our mind, for ages, we have been trained one particular way, we've been conditioned one particular way, that we are convinced that we are this body. And whatever happens to the body, good or bad, is what is I'm going to feel. So there is this kartrutvam and bhoktrutvam. I am karta, aham bhokta. I do this and I get this benefit. I do this and I pay the penalty. This is imbibed in us. This has become our nature. This has become our second nature. Actually, a true nature is not a karta bhokta. So for us to shed this unwanted kartrutvam and bhoktrutvam, that is difficult to start with. That is how the sadhana adhyaya goes. And start with Viveka. And a lot of discussions go on there. And finally, when you come to the fourth chapter, the first few sections, I would say Adhikaranam or Sutram of the Paladhyaya, Chaturtha Adhyaya, still continues to talk about it. So Acharya explains that even though in this chapter we should be talking about the result of the sadhana, there are certain antaranga sadhana which is very close to the moment of realization. Since it is so close to the result, we will discuss that here. That is the justification he has given. And it starts with a very interesting question there. We know for realization, we do this Shravanam, Mananam, and Nididhyasnam. I don't think I have to explain all this. It is we listen from a guru, Vedanta Vakyam from a guru, then we contemplate on that, and then we meditate on that. The question is, Atma vare drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya. Atma drashtavya. You have to realize, katham, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyasitavya. Very simple question. How often should I do this? You should get that, right? You have to listen. Okay, I listen once. Monday I went to class. I met my Guruji. I heard it once. As soon as I came back home, I just was thinking about it. And Tuesday morning, I got up and then sat in puja room and then I was contemplating on it. But I didn't realize. I don't have the realization which they say. I did once. Drashtavya, shrotavya, mantavya, nididhyas. How often or how long should I do this? If I don't know that, then I lose faith in the system. So for that, there is one adhikaranam that is given, avrittihi asakrit upadeshat. Hey, you have to keep repeating this. Who says we have to repeat? So that justification is given. Because, see, what I am trying to do here is the outcome is not something I am going to achieve after death. If I have to attain Swargalokam, I have to please so-and-so devatas, then I have to do this. Until we go there, we really don't know whether we are satisfied them. So it is a adrishta prayojana. This Atma Darshanam is drishta prayojana. You realize that you are not this body. You realize that idam sarvam idayam atma. And you feel contented. You feel completed. Paripurnatvam. And that is what it is. Atra Brahma Samashnute. It's not like you go somewhere and achieve something. Given that, how long will you do it? Till you realize you have to keep doing it. So if it is drishta prayojanam, that is, if you are able, if the action is such that the result has to be evident, then till the result is evidenced, till you see the result, you have to keep on performing it. The classic example that is given is you have this seed from which you have to take out the rice and you have to pound that. How long will you pound it? Not 5 or 10. Till the skin is removed, till you see the rice, you have to keep doing it. So likewise, you want to boil milk. How long will you boil milk? Till that milk boils, till you see it is boiling. You can't put a timer and come back, mostly, right? So this is a result which you can evidence. Till the time you have to keep doing it. It may appear very simple, but for a serious sadhaka, you have this doubt. I've been studying this for 10, 15 years. I've studied with 3 different gurus and I don't waste my time. And nothing has changed for me. Is the system real? So instead, if someone takes up like bhakti, that seems to be more tangible. If you always have a faith that God's, of course, that's needed. But when you come to Advaita sadhana, you don't have that kind of something tangible till you realize. It's like a dark phase till very end. So how do we have the faith? So when you have this kind of doubts, who is going to clarify? So that is how it starts. And there are some discussions on what kind of upasana to do and all. And I'm going to touch a bunch of topics, bunch of adhikaranas, which appear seemingly very trivial or simple, but how important it is what. So this is more of a less of an academically heavy session and more of lighter perspective, not humorous. When I say lighter, it's not going to tax you very much, but then see how they have approached this seemingly trivial things, but if you don't take care of them, we are not going to proceed very well in the sadhana. Just a couple of points. I don't want to assume that everybody knows about what adhikaranam and all is. The Brahmasutra is divided into 4 chapters. First is Samanvaya Adhyaya. Samanvaya is that all the Vedanta sentences, Vedanta Vakyam, they point towards Brahman. They have the main purport as the purpose of them is to inform us about Brahman. That is Samanvaya Adhyaya. Then Avirodha Adhyaya, where you deal with internal and external contradictions, how you resolve them. The third one is what I told, Sadhana Adhyaya. And the last one is the Phala Adhyaya, result. And each Adhyaya has something called Adhikarana. In Purvamimamsa and Vedantami, that is Uttaramimamsa, the Vicharam or the analysis in form of Adhikarana. Adhikarana means base. So you have a bunch of sutram, Suchana Sutram, you have aphorisms, and a bunch of sutram is clubbed into one Adhikaranam. Each Adhikaranam has an opponent viewpoint first. First thing is a Vishayaha. You take one Vedanta sentence, one Upanishad sentence, and discuss that. So the subject matter of discussion is Vishayaha. Why you take that? There is a doubt in that. That is Samshayaha. And there is an opponent viewpoint that is unanalyzed on the surface of it. Purva Pakshaha. Before you do the analysis, just on the surface of it, what is the meaning you get? And what is the problem in that? Then you do this analysis, Vicharaha, and then Uttara Pakshaha Siddhantaha. That is the final one. And then the last aspect is the connection with the previous Adhikarana. Because you can't randomly choose topics and then keep discussing about it. I take a topic, I determine, okay, this is a conclusion. Therefore, I get another doubt. Then I do this analysis, I conclude. So it is a sequential, it's a logical sequence of topics. So that flow is maintained. It's a structured analysis. It is not some random outpourings or anything. So this is the scheme of Brahmasutra. And here, the first one in the 4th chapter is what I told, Avrutti, Asakrat Upadesha. This Vedanta Vichara, how long you do? Avrutti. You have to keep on repeating it till you get this. Why? Asakrat Upadesha. That is how Upanishad does the Upadesha. Upanishad itself says you have to keep doing this again and again till you realize. So this is there. And then I'm coming to one interesting portion. I'm going to start from the 6th Adhikarana, 416. The question here is this. Okay, if someone has to do a karma or anything, whether Vaidika karma or Laukika karma, any action, you have a bunch of rules, do's and don'ts. And whether he asks, how do you perform that action? When you want to do Sandhya Vandanam, when you want to do a puja, when you want to do homa, you have to sit facing this direction. And here is the murti, you face the murti and sit. So those rules are given. That is for karma. If you are a realized person, you see Atman everywhere. Idam sarvam idayam Atma. There you don't put rules saying that, okay, you have to face east and then do that and all. So now we are coming to the transition stage, where Acharya has taken Saguna Upasana as an example for this, but this is applicable even for Nirguna Upasana. You are a sadhaka. This is where this comes in. You are a sadhaka. You want to contemplate. Okay, you learn something. You studied Kena Upanishad or you studied Chandogya Upanishad in a systematic way, and you want to contemplate on what does Tattvamasi mean? What does Pratibodha Viditam Matam? What does it mean? So when you want to do that, is there a niyama? When you say the set of rules, because if you have to sit and chant Shri Rudram or Purusha Suktam, there are certain niyama. Starting from the where I sit, the Sthala Shuddhi, Bhuta Shuddhi, Vastra Niyamaha, Ahara Niyamaha, Desha Kala Niyamaha, everything there is a niyama. You can't just like that go and do all this and expect to get, I mean, nobody is going to stop you doing that, but you can't expect to get the right result. You may end up getting unwanted result. That is a different issue. But if you don't follow the niyama, you don't expect to get the right result. This also being part of Veda. So if you have to sit and contemplate about Tattvamasi, is there a niyama? This question may appear very trivial, but this is a very serious question for a serious aspect. Because if you have to look into the background where this comes from, the person has done Veda Dhyana or any karma or any upasana, Rama upasana, Shiva upasana or something. You can come into Vedanta from any path, from karma or upasana, any path. And you have been trained, conditioned to act in certain ways. And now when it comes to Tattvamasi, should I continue the discipline or not? What do I gain by saying yes or no? Yes, you have to be very strict about it. Then I have a problem. The problem I have is this contemplation doesn't happen only early in the morning. So, okay, Brahma Muhurtam, I do this. And then what? Rest of the days, what am I supposed to do? Because this Vedocharanam, you are not supposed to do in the nights. So, karma, you are not doing in the Aparanna Kalam. That is, in the afternoon, you don't do Vaidika Karma, the Devata Karma. So, you have certain do's and don'ts. If I put a restriction that I have to have the Dig Desha Kala Niyama, I lose a vital time. I lose so much time in a day to do this. Whereas this contemplation is supposed to be a continuous process. Otherwise, you don't get into it. I keep thinking about Tattvamasi and then go and do something else and come back again Tattvamasi. That Tat itself doesn't come. So if I say yes, then I have a problem. If I say no, what I get, the situation I get into is, so what are the restrictions I can sacrifice, I can throw away? Okay, Dik Desha Kala Niyama, no. Can I throw away achara? This food habits, can I go and eat anything? Satya Vachanam, can I go and lead a life like a vagabond? Can I do anything I want? So where do you draw the line? What is important? What is not important? So only when you get into that stage, these kind of questions, the value of these questions uh, will be realized. So for a serious aspirant, nothing should be left untold. So Acharya has put this, Asinaha Sambhava. So the question is, when I do this contemplation, this chintanam, should I sit and do it or not? Or can I do any way I want? You see, we have this discussion. Guruji, can I do this mantra any time of the day? I don't have the time. So when I go for walking, can I chant this mantra? Guruji, I have only time during driving. So can I put this in the audio player and keep listening and go? So these questions come because people are not able to allot time. So as part of the daily routine, the question is, can I do this? I don't have time to sit and contemplate, Guruji. But between meetings, I have free time and I sit and do this in the office. Okay. So these are the kind of questions we get. So here the question is, can you do this when you walk? When you're going for your walking? Or I don't have time at all. Somebody told me recently that I don't have time for pranayama at all. So last thing in the day when I go to bed, I keep doing pranayama and sleep. And he says he never gets a dream because of doing that. Is that right or wrong? He asked me. He has been doing that for 7 years. And now he comes and asks me if it is right or wrong. Who am I to say that? Right? So that is for pranayama, for whatever purpose he's doing it. He's not going to stop if I say no. It's not, and I don't have the authority to say yes because I don't know what he's doing. So these difficulties come. Likewise, for this contemplation on Saguna or Nirguna Brahman, Esha Atma, Apagata Papa, Vicharo, Mukti, Vishoka, Vijagatsaha, Apipasa, Satyagama, Satya Sankalpaha. So this is how you should contemplate on the Saguna Brahman. Can you do this when between two chores? Can I do when I am driving? Can I do when I'm sitting in the office? Right? Acharya says this is the question. Asina tatra manasatvad upasanasya aniyamaha sharirastute. So when you do karma, you are asked to sit in one position and do. Why? If you keep wandering, the action is not going to get completed on time. That's why even at workplace, we have certain disciplines. We talk about ergonomics. We talk about how we sit so that we don't strain our body. So when doctors have one particular way of sitting and working, and when you are in a factory, like we do, for each job function, there are certain job functions where you're not supposed to sit. You stand and work. So likewise, that is for a physical action. Here, Upasana is a mental action. This is what I tried to emphasize in the beginning. For this, why do you want to put restriction in your body? As long as you keep your mind calm and composed, and you are collected in your thoughts, you can do this any way you want. Manasatvad upasanasya aniyamaha sharirasthite. The sharirasthiti, there is no niyamaha. Is the opponent point of view. Acharya doesn't agree to this. It looked very convincing, right? Because the upasana is manasam. So it is a thought process, change in your thought process. I'm going to explain what upasana is. But we all know it's not a physical one. This is something we have to understand here. When you, now, the society, when we say someone as upasaka, this is where I use the word cult. The way they dress, the way they project themselves is very different from the normal people. And those who really don't understand kind of get overawed or scared, or the other extreme is there's an aversion to all that. You draw extreme feelings. There is no mid path there. But upasana is not the number of japa you do. Upasana is not about how you do puja, what color dress you wear, and where you sit and do all this, and what mantra you chant, and how many remedies you give to people. Those are not the things about upasana. That is actually karma. That is only karma. Upasana is manasatvat upasanasya aniyamaha sharirasthite. Acharya doesn't dispute any of this. That he talks about the aniyamaha, that aspect alone, Bhagavan Badarayana, Sutrakara, not Bhagavatpada, Sutrakara himself touches that point. He agrees upasana is manasam. Still, the sharirasthiti niyama is needed. Evam prapte braviti asida eva upasita. You please sit and do upasana. Okay? This is why I said this is more of a lighter aspect of the upasana. We don't talk about where you have to contemplate between your eyebrows, or you do the Dvadashantam, 6 chakras in the body, pranayama. We are not talking about that kind of sadhana. When you want to do this upasana, when you want to do saguna or nirguna upasana, you please sit down and do. Okay? So, what is so profound about it? Kutaha sambhavat. That's how it happens. Upasanam dana. Okay? Here, Acharya takes the effort to explain what is upasana. So that's why this topic becomes very important. What is upasana? It is nothing external. You have to keep on remembering that. When you say upasana, when someone says, I'm doing upasana, and is restlessly acting on something or doing something, you have to realize that he may not be really upasana. Upasanam nama samana pratyaya pravaha karanam. We have to internalize this phrase. Samana pratyaya pravaha karanam. Pratyaya. Pratyaya is knowledge, or the content of the knowledge. So pratyaya is knowledge. Samana pratyaya, the same thing. Whereas you think about Rama, you have to keep on thinking about Rama. Nothing else. Samana pratyaya pravaha. You understand what is pravaha? The flow of thought. So the flow of thoughts, when you say flow of thought, several things. Samana pratyaya, about the same thing, you keep on thinking about it. The continuous flow of thought about one object is upasana. Samana pratyaya pravaha karanam. And you have to do it with an effort. It's not happening. You sit and try to do it. The mind wanders all over the place. And pravaha karanam, you have to make an effort of the mind. You have to make an effort for the mind to stick to one particular object continuously without interruption. And that is upasana. And when that is done, the person next to you will not know whether you are doing it or not. Obvious? Right. Nachatad gachato dhavato va sambhavati. Can you do that by walking or running? Acharya has written dhavatah. You can't do upasana when you go for your morning jogging. Let's take it that way. Tad gachato dhavato va sambhavati. Gatyadinam chitta vikshepakatvat. So when you, any physical activity disturbs your mind. Tishtatopi, okay, I'll stand and do. Just if you see, if you go to temple, they take a lot of effort. People go take a lot of effort to go to the temple. We do that sometimes. And after going there, standing in front of the Murti, they close the eyes. Close the eyes and stand like that for about 15 minutes. If you want to close the eyes, why don't you sit at home and close your eyes? You're blocking somebody's view. You go there to have darshanam and then purposefully close your eyes. I don't know what is the logic behind that. And they block everybody's view and they block their own view. Because we don't understand what we are trying to do at each of these places. You can't do upasana there. That is for darshanam, get the blessing, and understand, take in the divine form so that that impression is there in your mind. Come, that's why our temples are built big. You see so many mantapas there. Go sit in a corner, try to invoke that image again and again. But we don't understand that. Go there and block the view. If you stand and try to do this meditation, you won't be able to understand the subtle points. So still, when you are standing, there is an effort needed to balance your body. But okay, then I lie down and do it. You go to sleep. Shayanasyapi akasmadeva nidriya vibhuyeta asinasya tu evam jati yogo bhuyandoshaha supariharaha. If you sit and do this, you don't have these kind of problem. You will be able to contemplate on the sukshma vastu. How many of us have really thought that Brahmasutram discusses about? We all think Brahmasutram is very difficult and it is highly theoretical. And you discuss, of course it is. But it is a complete book where you talk about the practical aspect down to earth. See, if you are new to your guru, and if you have, if you're kind of introverted, most of the people who take up this upasana or this, they tend to be introverted. That's what I have seen. If you're too extroverted, you go into bhakti or karma. When you come to this, it is, I'm not making a judgment here. I'm just saying, studying my observation. You will hesitate a lot to ask questions to your guru. The guru says, okay, you have to think about this. This is tattva. See, tat means this. So keep thinking about it, come back. And you will hesitate to ask him, Guruji, should I sit and do it or stand and do it? It will appear silly. But we are, like I told earlier, that practical difficulties will be, I don't have time. Can I do it while walking? Please don't do that. This is what Acharya says. So why do I say this? Acharya says, Dhyana cha apicha dhyayatyartha esha yat samana pratyaya pravaha. When I say this samana pratyaya pravaha karanam, what does it mean? That is meditation. So when you meditate, you sit and do it, you have the least disturbances. And there are few more, a couple of more sutras which explains that. Okay, where do we do this? Should I do in a temple? Should I do in front of Devata? Just now I told you. You go to temple to enjoy the beauty, to observe the Murti. You don't go there, stand in front of Murti and try to close your eyes. So where do I do this? Should I go to Rishikesh and do? You see some VIP or somebody going to some part in Himachal, in Himalaya, and everybody thinks that's where they should go and do the meditation. So and so guru came from there, then okay, let's also go there. No harm in not going there. No harm in going there. But if you are not able to go there, you drop your sadhana. Why I can't go there, so I can't do this. It is not associated with the place. But don't take it seriously. It's something light. So where did Buddha have his realization? Most of the people say Buddha Gaya under the tree. Actually, that's wrong. Buddha had his realization in his heart, not under the tree. Okay? Everybody goes and sits under the tree. What is going to happen? It's not like Newton's apple falling down and everyone realizes gravitation. So the realization is in our heart. We still tend to pay attention to the external aspects and really forget what the internal process is. As long as you focus on the external aspect, there is no internal transformation. Paranchi khani yatrunat swayambhuhu. Tasmat parang paschitin antaratman. Khani, indriyani. The senses, the swayambhu, God has created them. Paranchi, parakanchanti. Outward. They look at objects and the senses realize objects that are out. They get in contact with objects that are outside. Tasmat parang paschiti. That's why everybody sees outside. Kaschid dhiraha, someone, dhiraha, dhiman, pratyagatmanam aichatad. He pulls him inwards, avrita chakshuhu. He cuts his relationship with the external world and makes an effort to see inside. Utaha amrutatvam ichan. Because that is how he will realize the amrutatvam. So we are by design outgoing in nature, or our effort is to grasp objects that are outside us, and that is why we constantly miss what is there inside us, the pratyagatma. And this upasana is the process that is going to change, turn us inwards. So coming back to the earlier point, I just want to the flow of the text. The third chapter, you have a lot of academic discussions, very heavy discussions on what a sadhana can be, on viveka, vairagya, and all that. Those are tough parts. But finally, when it comes to the paladhyaya, closer to what mukti is, what is atmasarupam, where it is defined, Acharya has taken these kind of simpler points to discuss. I told you it is Asina Sambhava. The next one I'm going to talk about. These are relatively simpler, academically not very mentally taxing, but very important thing as you go close to. Why is, so you are going in one direction. Now you have to turn and come back in. The process of changing the direction is more physically, okay? Those who understand science will know. The process of changing direction takes more effort than changing the momentum. You go and you want to go faster, you just need a small pull. Or you want to slow down, then there's a small braking is needed. But if you want to change the direction, there is a pain involved. The ball is going in one direction. There is an impact pain involved when it hits the wall and then comes back. So that is why the sadhana aspect discussed earlier, they are much more taxing than here. It is just a propeller. So these are much more easier parts, but this is very essential to take us close to the reality. So the next one is, okay, where do I do this? Very, very simple, but very profound answer. Yatra ekagrata tatra visesha. What are we trying to do here? We are trying to meditate. Means what? Samana pratyaya pravaha karanam. That is, you are going to think about only one object with the exclusion of everything else. So that is samana pratyaya pravaha karanam. So in other words, that is ekagrata, concentration. So where do you want to sit and do? Wherever you can have concentration. You go to a temple, okay, so-and-so did so much japam or that meditation on the temple, you go there, you get a lot of powers. The temple is so noisy because the purpose of the temple is different. You can't blame them. The purpose of the temple is very different. It becomes so noisy. You can't even hear own mantra chanting because they put some music there and then your mind wanders, it catches that song. You can't even complete your mantra. You go there and sit and how can you do that? So this is why I told that example. You don't get it under a tree or a cave or anything. You get it in your heart. So sit in a place where you don't have any other distraction. It can be your room, it can be your study room, it can be your bedroom, or it can be you go to a terrace where nobody comes. It can be your home. I mean, that's where you have the maximum freedom. Or if you think you don't have freedom in your house, go to a place where nobody is going to disturb you. That's what it is needed. Yatra ekagrata tatra viseshat. Because there is no specific location given for dhyana. Dik desha kaleshu samshaya kim asti kaschidniyavo nasti va. That is the question. Why is this question coming? Prayena vaidikeshu arambeshu digadiniyama darshanat. This is what I told in the beginning. When you come to Upanishad, before that you have this karma kanda. There are so many restrictions are given. Since it is coming in the same flow of the text, do we have this? No. Yatraiva asya dishi deshe kaleva manasaha saukaryena ekagrata. This is what Bhashyakara writes. It's saukaryena ekagrata, where you comfortably get the concentration. Tatraiva upasita. Please do upasana there. Prachidik purvanna prachina pravanadi vata visesha ashravana. Because in karma you have this, it should be praktik. It is prachina pravanadesham. That is the place should be little bit down in the eastward, because when you do karma, that is service needed, and you have to be in so and so place, etc. Here there is no such thing. Yatra saukaryena ekagrata tatraiva upasita. Choose a place where you are very comfortable and you can get concentration. How else can this be simplified? But then there is one question. Okay, but when I read Shvetashvatara Upanishad, there is one niyama. Same shuchau shakkara vandi valuka vivarjite shabda jalashayadivihi manonukule nathu chakshupedine guha nivadashrayena prayojayet. Prayojayet. That's a vidhi. Where do we do dhyanam? There's a question. In Shvetashvatara Upanishad, one of the rishi has said, Same. It should be a plain surface. Shuchau, it should be a clean place. Sharkara Vandi Valuka Vivarjite. There are no, you don't have this too much of sand or too much of pebbles and all that, because you won't be able to sit properly. Shabda Jalashayadibihi Varjite. It should not be noisy place, and you don't have too much water or water flow. Humid, can't be a humid place or a wet place, because you won't be able to sit and concentrate. So a lot of restrictions are given. Manonukule Natu Chakshupedine, where there are no insects. There you have to sit and do is given. But you are saying there is no restriction. Yatra ekagrata. So there is a contradiction. You are going against the principle of Upanishad. So that kind of sukshma drishti is taken here, for which Acharya has given Satyam. Yes, Shvetashtra Upanishad says this. Satitu etasmin gateshu visesheshu. Even though there are certain restrictions given, what is important there is manonukule, where you have manas anukulam, the saukaryena upasanam. Manonukule iti chesha shrutihi yatra ekagrata suhrud bhutva acharya achashti. Acharya Vyasacharya Badarayana Acharya has given this rule, has given this result or the nirnaya suhrud bhutva in a friendly way. Okay, please don't go searching for that kind of place. What is most important, even though you have a list of 6-7 things, manonukule is the most important thing. That is why he's saying etra ekagrata tatra aviseshat. So the net result, what we are trying to gather from this bunch of Upanishad is, when it comes to karma, there is no discussion about whether niyama is needed or not, because karma is a package. You do like this with this rules and regulations, then you get this outcome. So it is not just an action, it is the environment, action in a specific environment. We see that everywhere. Yeah, I don't want to keep on giving examples, mundane examples, because you all have a perspective towards that, is what I believe. There are any action, be it Vaidika karma or Laukika karma, it is set to a particular environment or prerequisite conditions, and that is what is going to give the result. Even if you want to, the same government department, you want to apply something, you have 2 different forms for different reasons. So that environment is important, the prerequisites are important. But when it comes to Upasana, there's only one prerequisite, Samana Pratyaya Pravaha Karma. Whatever is needed for that, whatever is needed for you to get rid of every thought other than your Lakshyam. It can be Saguna Brahman or Nirguna Brahman. Other than that, everything has to be removed. And for that, what is conducive, what is important for you, Saukaryena etra ekagrata. And that, so you have to sit and do, because don't assume that you can stand or walk and do this. See, karma, that is stotra patanam, that is the karma. That you can do anywhere you want, whichever way you want. Veda Dhyanam. It's very difficult to walk and stand and do that. So you have to sit and do that. Because in each of this karma or upasana, the karma and upasana, there is a acharya or guru with you. And you have to follow that principle. Otherwise, it's not going to give you the result. During upasana, or I would say during puja, if your guru says this is how you should do, and that is how you should do. But upasana, guru will advise you to concentrate. And how you concentrate is with this kind of principle, where the concentration is more important, where elimination of unwanted thoughts is more important. And for that, you have to sit in a comfortable place. If you want to put on AC, put on AC. You don't want to do this, don't. Switch off lights, switch on lights. Sit in a corner, sit in a center place, whatever you want to do. Asina sambhavat yatra ekagrata tatra visesha. Okay, now last question. Aprayana tatrapi drishtam. Okay, how long do I do this? Thus I told for Nirguna Upasana till you realize this. For Saguna Upasana, how long do I do this Upasana? Okay, I have done for 15 years. I have taken Shiva Mantra, I have chanted for 15 years. Whatever my Guru told, I did this. And every time I close my eyes, I can see Shiva's form. Yes, I have realized now I can drop this and go and do something else. Okay, because I have done enough for Shiva. Now let me try to do for Vishnu. There are adhikaranam to do that, whether you can change Upasana midway or you can do 2 Upasana simultaneously. Because you want this Devata, you want that also. You want both results. Can you do both Upasana simultaneously? Can you stop one and go and do another thing? All these discussions come here. I'll stop with only one. How long do I do this? This is very important to know. I've been doing for 15 years. I am doing for 12 years. I did for 20 years. Gayatri Upasana, I'm doing for 35 years. So is it not enough? One person asked me, I am doing this for 30 plus years. I don't see a result. What is the guarantee that I will see result? Why should I not go and try to do something else? Right? So you have these doubts. Here, aprayana. Say prayanam is journey. Prayanam is the final journey. Till death. Aprayana. Why? Tatrapi drishtam. That is how Upanishad says. Tatrayani tavat samyak darshanartani upasanani. That he says. That is samyak darshanam. Or nirguna upasanam till you realize. Here, for Sadhana Upasana, you are going to do Upasana till the last moment. So there is no question of stopping this and then trying to do another Upasana. Because that Samana Pratyaya Pravaha Karanam is not going to happen. Aprayanat Tatrapihi Drishtam. And when you do that, what happens? Tadadigave Uttarapurvage or Aslesha Vinasho Tadvyapadesha. Say, when you realize that, what is the immediate result you'll see? Whatever the karma, good or bad karma we have accumulated, that is gone. And after you realize there is Nirguna Brahman, when you are a Jivan Mukta, anything you do does not count. So those kind of discussions, what happens to the karma palam after you realize your upasana palam is discussed over there. But this is the set of the sadhana where the basic and simple aspects like how do we conduct ourselves and where do we sit and do upasana? What is the most important essence of upasana? What I want to bring out is when you talk about upasana, when you talk about dhyana, meditation, sadhana, contemplation, all these words are being thrown around left, right, center. What exactly it means is put your mind on only one object and then try to stay on it for till death. That is what it means. And how we qualify ourselves and how we critically analyze what are our weaknesses and what is distracting us and trying to eliminate the distraction is what we should be looking at. And that's the message we should take from this set of Adhikaranam. I think I will stop with this. And Nitinji, you have anything to add? Sanjeevji?
Namaste, namaste. Thank you, Giridharji. This entire process, or to use the modern language, epistemology of the moksha or nirvana or mukti or atyantik dukkha nivritti or Brahmananda Prapti, and do's and do nots of the Upasana and the source code of the do's and do nots of the Upasana in Brahmasutra of Bhashyam. You took us through that process excellently. Samana Pratyaya Pravaha Karanam. Samana Pratyaya Pravaha Karanam is the best. And if it is white rice coming out of the de-husking of the rice, then what is the process of de-husking? What are the do's and do nots of the de-husking? In that, Satudirga Kalam Nairantaryam Satkara Sevita Dhruvomi. Till what time? Till the time you see the white rice. Aneka Janma Samsiddhis Tatoyati Parangati. You took us through, because I remember 6 chapter shlokas in Bhagavad Gita. Shucho Deshe Pratishtapya Sthirmasanam Atmana Nastyuchitam Nati Nityam Chailajana Kuchutparam. Tatraikagram Manah Kritva Yatachittendriya Kriyaha Upavishyasane Yoga Yunjat Yoga Matma Vishuddhaya. It was a fantastic exposition. And in the source code of with the source code of Sadhana Adhyaya in Brahmasutra Bhashyam. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Viewers, our evening session is going to be taken by Srinivas Jammal Madka on Jiva Eternal on the basis of Atmadhikaranam of Brahmasutra in place of this. Thank you. See you in the evening.